Hey, what's good, y'all? Today I got some manga recommendations for you, and I got some homies with me to help me out here. Big thanks to them both. Make sure to go check them out. Now let's get into it. The first manga I have for you guys today is Heads. Heads is a psychological drama with some mystery in there. I wouldn't say the mystery is the best aspect because a lot of the reveals are fairly predictable because they've been done several times since this manga released. Heads follows our main character here. He's just been shot in the head and now he needs a brain transplant. The main strength of the story is following the main character struggle with this new brain transplant, as it gives him different personality changes and spikes and different psychological consequences. The art is fantastic. It has a few panels you've probably seen before and just didn't know the name of the series. Definitely a fun read and is pretty thrilling and will make you want to continue reading it.
Manga Devil Blues is a historical, psychological manga that is loosely based off of the real Robert Johnson, the musician who sold his soul to the devil to learn how to play the blues. The story follows Johnson throughout his journey to become a blues player and all his crazy encounters. The story takes place in the South back when racism was at an all-time high and lynching was still being practiced. It shows how tragic life was back then for those of color, making this a truly different experience to other manga. What I like about this manga is that uniqueness to try something so different. You won't see Japanese authors tackle these subjects ever, especially with the amount of detail placed into this work. There's a surprising amount of accuracy in how this time is portrayed with all the cruelty included, depicted through art that can be dark, gruesome, and terrifying, but still quite beautiful. This is a psychological manga too, so the art shows what Robert sees and what others may not see, such as his crazy hand or perhaps seeing the devil at times. Another interesting aspect of the story is partnership to a white man named Clyde Barrow, who you may know from Bonnie and Clyde. Clyde gets Johnson into several problems, but they surprisingly have a pretty great dynamic. Although Johnson tends to have to deal with Clyde's mess being blamed for the things he does because he's a black man. With the pair such as this one, watching them do what they have to do to survive just makes it so great to read. Of course, it's fun seeing Clyde being a badass. From dealing with fighting the police to being hunted by dogs, these two experience a merciless world. Everything about Me and the Devil Blues is crafted with a crazy amount of detail. From the art to the story, there's a lot to get out of this manga. Sadly, it's been on hiatus for a number of years, but it's definitely worth checking out the chapters that are currently out and seeing for yourself the craziness that existed back then. It's a manga that truly can't disappoint and is easily one of my favorites.
Until Your Bones Rot is a thriller and somewhat of a romance manga. It follows a group of friends creating a ritual to prevent anyone in the group from speaking out about let's call it detrimental action they made years ago. Pretty much ain't nobody fucking with snitches, and it goes pretty smoothly until one day they receive a message essentially telling the group that they know what they did last summer. And to stop this unknown from exposing them, they're gonna have to go through many trials and challenges in order to keep the rando from becoming a federal informant like Tim Allen. Hey, what? The art is decent, the characters aren't amazing, but it's definitely fun to watch them. It doesn't have too strong of a message behind it, but it's a fun and thrilling read for sure.
My manga recommendation might be slightly cheating, as I'd pick any works by Shinichi Sakamoto, as my praise for a series like Innocent would extend to something like The Climber. The first thing that you'd see immediately from any of his works is how visually appealing all his manga is. He is at the top of the game when it comes to manga art, and not only just does it look incredible, but also he uses it in the stories to convey certain story meanings or metaphors, which is quite clever. But just look at it, goddamn. On top of that, it gets even better. He has incredible stories with compelling characters, some of the best out there, protagonist-wise. The sidecast may not be as strong, but if you look at Innocent with Mary Joseph and The Climb of Mari Bontaro, they are some of the best protagonists you've ever seen. So I would say, if I have to recommend anything, just anything by this man, read it now.
My last pick that you gotta read is Kuro. It comes from the same creator as Shadow's House, which is also decent, but Kuro definitely deserved the anime adaptation way more. and probably would have been way more successful. The story follows Coco. She lives alone in a massive mansion. Well, not fully alone, she has this cat, and being the only two living things in the mansion, they have a tight bond. Coco lives happy and unaware of the reality beyond the mansion. For others who live outside, they live a paranoid and dreadful life. And at the time of this manga, the reality of outside is slowly creeping into Coco's life to the point where she can't just be oblivious to it anymore. There's twists and reveals that you're just waiting for the entire manga, and it's still somehow satisfying when they happen. You don't truly know what the main character situation is or even what the world situation is, and it really creates a lot of tension, as there's a lot of unknown to be worried about. The chapters are split up really weird though. Sometimes it's only one page on a chapter, and sometimes it's hard to tell what's a canon chapter and what's a special, but that may have just been where I read it. A majority of the manga is in color and it looks great, but even without the color, the art is fantastic and has some amazing panels. I definitely highly recommend everyone checks this one out. So there you have it. We gave you a bunch of suggestions, so make sure to get on them. Big thanks to both Mangaobservatory and Manga Lists for taking part in this video. Make sure to check them out. I'll have more videos in the near future, so make sure to like and subscribe. Easy.